Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is Evie Bunny and happy Pride to everyone who is obviously celebrating, everyone who is LGBTQ. So actually, because I've been making quite a lot of serious videos, like I do a lot of videos about important topics to do with women's safety and inclusivity in terms of the anime community. So for this video, I wanted to do something a little bit more lighthearted for you guys that will hopefully be fun. We are going to be ranking all of the most famous Yuri anime and manga that I personally have read or I have watched, and we're going to be doing an honest tier ranking based on what I think is the best Yuri of all time. So hopefully in today's video we can find out the best Yuri to exist ever, what I personally think is some of the best Yuri for representation, for realistic depictions of sapphic relationships, and also just in general for like storyline, if it makes sense, if it's got some unhealthy dynamics. We are going to be discussing all of this in today's video. We're also so close to 20k subscribers, so please do make sure to subscribe if you enjoy this video. I do make a lot of videos on these types of topics, so I promise you will not be disappointed. Without further ado, let's begin ranking the series. We're going to start off strong with one of my favorite mangas, which is Kase-san. So I think the majority of people probably know about this one. If you are a Yuri enthusiast, you probably have heard of it. This manga is so wholesome. It genuinely makes me smile whenever I read it. I feel like it's a really cute storyline. It features these two girls and they are slowly falling in love. They're like navigating being in a relationship together. One of the things I really like about this story is that they are actually explicitly in a relationship, which like sounds like the bar is low. The bar is super low. It is, because some of these stories they're not even considered in a relationship. So yeah, that's why I like this story, because it doesn't feel like it's like queer baiting, because they actually are in a relationship and it's super cute. I love the art style. I love the use of like flowers and the imagery. I love how both of the characters are really well written, like they feel believable, and they both have really cute hobbies like gardening. I think that this is a really good manga if you are getting into Yuri, if you want like a recommendation that won't be sad or like tragic. The only negatives to this is that, first of all, I do wish the series continued into like when they're office ladies or something, because one of the issues I have with Yuri in general as a genre is that the majority of Yuri is like set in school, which I think is fine if you're like a teenager. As like an adult, as an unk, because I guess I'm old, I would prefer if there is more Yuri that is like people my age, like people in their 20s. I also just think visually they're a really cute couple. Like they just look so cute. Like I love this story, and I feel like so many people love this story. There's like some really viral gifs from this manga that people love. The OVA is really, really good too. And so I really like with this series how it shows the girls having like legitimate feelings for each other without it being just like a high school fling. Genuinely see the attraction and the yearning in the manga, which I think is great. And it's just a really cute series. So for that reason, I think I'm going to put it at B. The things that I think could make this one an A is if there was more plot points, if there was maybe a little bit more fleshing out of the characters, because whilst I love the characters, I do think that they are quite predictable and you can kind of tell what the characters are like just by looking at them. So yeah, I think I'm going to put it at a B. Still love this manga, one of my favorite Yuri manga, but yes, Kase-san gets a B on my list. Next up, we have Girlfriends. Now, Girlfriends is one of the most famous Yuri mangas, I think, at least in the early 2000s. It was super, super famous. I don't know about nowadays, because I feel like nowadays it's kind of old-fashioned. I don't know. But when I was growing up, this one was super popular. If you're not familiar with the story of Girlfriends, it focuses around a girl called Mari, who is super beautiful, and she's also very shy and reserved, not really interested in fashion or makeup, and she begins being friends with another girlie who is called Ako, who basically helps her to discover herself, and they go from being really good friends to developing feelings for each other and becoming girlfriends. Honestly, it's okay. I'm not huge on this one because, again, it feels very predictable. Now, I will give the story the benefit of the doubt in that, like, again, it could be because these are tropes that people have copied from the author, because as we all know, this story is one of the classics, so people would have been copying it. I think it's really cute, but I feel like the characters are quite immature, which makes sense because, again, this one is set in high school, so it's like, what can you expect? I wouldn't probably reread this one just because it feels a bit outdated. It's definitely something I would have read when I was like 10 or 11 years old, maybe 12, 13, but not older than that really for me personally. And yeah, I think it's a good story. I think a lot of people like it. That's totally cool. But for me personally, it's just not my cup of tea. I feel like it's definitely a product of its time. It's very, very good. But unfortunately, because of the tropes that we keep seeing, I feel like it's kind of outdated. But I will give it some good points because, again, it is called Girlfriends, so they are girlfriends. It's not like it's queerbaiting. They are actually couples. You know, that's super cute. I do think that the couples themselves are really sweet. So I think overall it's a good manga. It's just that it's quite generic, at least because of what we've seen after it. So no hate, obviously, to the manga. It is amazing. Like, I'm not gonna say that it's the manga's fault or anything. This reason, I'm gonna put it at B as well. I think it's definitely not lower than a B, but yeah, I wouldn't reread this one the same way that I would with Kase-san. Next up, we have Citrus, and I'm sorry to say, I did not like Citrus. I do not like Citrus. Citrus is probably one of my least favorite Yuri I have ever had to sit through reading. It was so uncomfortable. I really don't like this one. I'm sorry because I know this one is so popular, but something about it just made me like, ugh, like the fact that the characters, like, basically the story is one of the girls is like kind of like a Gyaru character and the other girl is quite like edgy and like standoffish, and they have to live together because she, I think, gets adopted by the family of the other girl.
So other than the fact that these two characters are in a pseudo-incestual relationship, which that alone is something that would make me not want to read this manga or watch the anime, but also I feel like the kiss scenes and the romance scenes in this anime and in this manga are very non-consensual, and it just feels like the girls, it's kind of like her forcing her opinions and her feelings onto the other girl. And I also feel like the animation doesn't help either because it puts such an emphasis on the fan service, and it's not in a queer friendly way. It definitely feels very male centric.
And like this to me feels, and I know you can say this is a reach, people say that all the time to me, whatever, does feel a bit male gazy because it's the whole like stepsister thing, and I don't like that much. Like, it was written for men. And whenever I would see the scenes in this manga where it's like meant to be like, oh my god, they have feelings for each other, it didn't read that way. It just felt like they hated each other, like literally hated, not like in a good way, not in a like enemies to lovers, literally hated. I was like, this is toxic Yuri, but not the toxic Yuri that we like. This is not good. So I really don't like Citrus. I'm gonna have to put Citrus at quite a low rating. Fortunately, Citrus is going to be D ranking on my list. I know it's super popular. I'm probably gonna get a lot of people disliking that. It is what it is. This is my opinion. I don't like this series. I've tried so hard to watch it, to read it. I just can't like it. Next up, we have Strawberry Panic. Now, I actually mentioned this in another video. This manga and anime is kind of infamous for being like, it's very like chaotic, but it is also one of the most iconic Yuri manga and anime of the early 2000s. So I feel like it deserves a higher place on this list just for that fact. For the story, I actually really like the story. I think it's very riveting. It's very dramatic. I love how all the scenes are so extra for like no reason. Like, I'm pretty sure it starts off with the girl like falling into a pond, and like drowning, and then this other girl like saves her. So I just love all of that drama. I think it's so funny.
If you're unfamiliar with the story of Strawberry Panic, it is essentially a story about a girl called Nagisa who transfers to a all-girls school that is supposedly very strict, and her charm and beauty manages to captivate the mysterious and elegant Shizuma, who is another student at the school. Now, this anime came out in 2006, and you can tell this anime is essentially the embodiment of a self-insert fanfiction. Is this anime cringe? Absolutely. Does this anime have a lot of slightly harmful and weird tropes for the characters? Absolutely. But is it obviously incredibly gay? Yes. One thing that I personally really like about Strawberry Panic, which a lot of people see as a negative, but I don't, is that all of the main cast are either lesbian or bisexual. It seems like everyone at this school is somehow gay, but I will say I actually really like the fact that we have multiple different couples in the story. I think that it gives us quite a diverse range of characters, and even if these characters still fall into the certain tropes in anime, I still like seeing this much representation in media of lesbian and bisexual characters. Whilst I would not rewatch this as an adult, I do think it is important to have queer and sapphic representation when you are younger, as this series really did help me growing up gay. And having a story where there were no male characters and everyone is essentially gay was incredibly liberating growing up being closeted.
Do I think it's realistic? No. I mean, maybe to some people, but not really like to the average person. Do I think it has some themes that probably are outdated? Yes. I think it's definitely a product of its time, and the character designs are gorgeous. I love the dresses that they wear. So for this reason, I'm going to put it at B. I feel like it's not bad enough to be at C, but it's definitely not good enough to be at A because it's still definitely a product of its time. So this is the most generous ranking I think I can give it. Next up, we have Sakura Trick. This Yuri is, unfortunately, it's not one of my favorites, but I do know a lot of people who love this one. I feel like this Yuri is definitely one of those ones that feels like maybe it was made for the male audience and then it obviously got reclaimed by the girlies. I personally am not a huge fan of this one because I kind of watch it and like internally cringe a little bit, like, which is funny because I can watch other anime and not cringe, but for some reason this anime I'm just sitting there like, oh, like I don't know, it's just not for me.
This anime is a slice of life series which features a girl called Yu and another girlie called Haruka. It is about their friendship allegedly turning into a special relationship when they entered high school. The plot essentially can be boiled down to these two girls want to feel special to each other because they're not sitting next to each other anymore, so they decide they're just going to randomly kiss each other to make themselves feel special to each other. Now, allegedly, the high school that they are at is going to shut down after they graduate, and I really thought that this would be a great plot point for them to use in the story, but it's not really used outside of them just randomly mentioning it sometimes. The fact that these characters are literally kissing and it is seen as a special friendship is kind of annoying to watch. Aside from the queerbaiting, I also just feel like the characters aren't very well developed. Haruka's personality is literally just being obsessed with you, and that's just kind of played up a lot. There's not really much more to her.
So this anime, I still think it's very cute. I think the characters are super cute, but I don't think it's a great realistic representation of relationships. I think maybe it's like just a funny anime. It's just kind of like jokey. So I don't know. It's not my favorite personally. I know a lot of people who really like this one. For me, it's just not for me, and that is, at the end of the day, that is just sometimes how it be. I'm going to put this one at C because I recognize it's still very popular, it's still very influential, but it's just not my cup of tea. So that's what I'm going to rank Sakura Trick. Next up, we have the Syrup Anthology series. Now, this is one of my favorite manga series because finally we have characters who are unk. We have characters who are over 20, which apparently in anime is so hard to find because once you hit 20, apparently you're decrepit and old, according to anime. So yeah, I absolutely love this series because they do actually have a lot of characters who are, you know, my age, in their early 20s, kind of figuring out life. And I love this series because not only does it have a diverse range of characters who are different ages, different kind of like jobs and lives, but I also feel like the stories can be quite gripping and compelling in this anthology series.
Now, one of my favorite stories in this anthology is by a author called Yu, and it is about a woman who is tackling comp het as well as being possibly bisexual, who has a friend come and stay at her house. And to make matters more complicated, she also has a baby, so she's a single mum. Now, what I like about this story is that it shows the romance in their relationship as kind of not really idealistic, but rather a sort of beautiful bittersweetness where she's falling in love with this woman and she doesn't know if the woman will feel the same way ever. But I just really like that because I think that's such an accurate depiction of adult relationships and falling in love with someone and not knowing if they'll ever like you back.
And I also really love the art style too. I think it's really beautiful. And honestly, I really enjoyed reading this. I would highly recommend this manga to anyone who's looking for a more mature anthology series to make you be like, oh my god, I feel so bad for them. But in a good way because the story's actually compelling and it feels realistic for real life like sapphic relationships. So I really love this series. I would highly recommend this if you're someone who's starting out reading Yuri manga, or if you're someone who wants to read more LGBTQ manga. This anthology series is great. So I would put this one at an A ranking, because even though it's not like a whole like story, it's like different mini stories. Some of those mini stories are so good. Some of the mini stories I don't like that much, but there are some that are so good that even those stories alone I would put at an S rank if they were longer. So that is why this one is getting an A rank from me. Next up, we have my favorite Yuri of all time, which I will not shut up about. We have Tamendegushi. This Yuri, oh my god, this Yuri changed my life. This Yuri literally makes me want to cry because the story is so cute and wholesome and beautiful. I literally love this. When I discovered this at like 16 years old, it literally changed my brain chemistry. There are pieces of art from this Yuri that I look at now, like so happy just to see this artwork. It is so cute, so wholesome. I love this ship so much. It is my favorite Yuri of all time. It is so good. So first of all, the story itself is really good. It's about a girl who has a crush on another girl from a different like district or whatever, and she is kind of like working through having this crush, talking to this girl who slowly starts to develop feelings for her, and it's so comedic. I love the comedy in this series. It genuinely makes me laugh, and the characters are so sweet. They're so well written. I love that they aren't just like the popular girl and the like unpopular girl. Like there's kind of like a mix on it. Like actually it turns out the tomboy type girl is pretty popular. Like she has a lot of friends, and the cutesy girl is actually the loner one, which relatable. But I really love this story. I think it's so sweet. And I did mention this in a reel recently, but unfortunately this story had to be discontinued because of Chinese censorship laws. So I'm thinking about making a longer video about it if you guys are interested. I love this manga so much. It's an S tier manga. It has to be. The story, the characters, the design, everything about this series is just perfect. It's very realistic for anyone developing a crush on someone and then starting to date someone. It's just a super wholesome, realistic story, and I genuinely would recommend this to anyone, regardless of if you like Yuri, you like yaoi, whatever it is. This is just a great manga. It is so good. So if you haven't read it already, I highly recommend it. A lot of people who like the green Yuri, which we'll talk about later, they actually don't know that this Yuri is very similar, but it's actually, in my opinion, I think it's better. So definitely read it if you like that one, and it is S tier. Next up, we do have another very popular Yuri. We have the revolutionary girl, Utena. I feel like if I didn't rank this one in S rank, it would genuinely be a crime, a genuine crime, because Revolutionary Girl Utena is the reason that most of the Yuri genre exists.
Utena is a story about a girl who transfers to a school where they have a sword fighting competition to win the hand of a girl called Auntie, who has a special power that can revolutionize the world, and people are out to get it. So Utena, being the very chivalrous person that she is, decides to enter this competition to save Auntie from an arranged marriage that she wouldn't be happy with. I just think that this is one of the most feminist, incredible story plots. It's a girl becoming a knight in order to save and help other women. Like, how incredible is that?
This Yuri is like the mother of Yuri. It is just the most Yuri to ever Yuri. I love this one. Is it realistic? No, not at all. But I actually love that. I think the fantasy with the swords, women fighting, who doesn't love that? It's actually super cool the way that it's written, and I think it tackles a lot of really difficult themes that even nowadays you don't really find a lot of series tackling. So I really like this one. I honestly think that it is amazing. I think anyone who has seen it will agree with me. So this one is obviously an S tier. It's just the mother of Yuri. There's not much else to say, right? Next up, we have Sweet Blue Flowers, which again is a super iconic Yuri. I feel like everyone has seen this one. If you haven't, then I highly recommend it. This one is definitely a little bit more slow burn, but it's about having like unrequited feelings, having a crush on someone. I think it's a really beautiful story. Again, I think this one is quite realistic because a lot of people, when you have a crush on someone or you like someone, that is just how it be, or just like the yearning or whatever. So I think this one is really, really good, and I think this one definitely deserves a place in the ranking. Do I think that this one is something I would rewatch? For me personally, not necessarily, because the story is a bit too slow burn for my liking. So I'm going to put this one at B, because even though it's amazing, I think it's so iconic, it's not necessarily like S tier or A worthy for me personally. Next up, we have one of the most iconic Yuri mangas of all time, which is the Green Yuri. I absolutely love this one. I feel like it really had to grow on me, because this Yuri is one of those ones that really is a slow burn. Like, it is one of the slowest burns ever, but it is worth reading, and I feel like it is worth giving it time, because actually it turns out the new chapters of this Yuri are so good, because it follows the characters not only through school but until university, and so we really do get to see their relationship dynamic getting like changing. I really like that. It feels realistic that obviously their relationship is changing as they get older, and I really like this one. I feel like this one is super realistic. I absolutely love how this one centers around music. The author obviously really loves rock music and alternative music, and I love how she's always like listing alternative like songs, like just so cool, because I love this type of music. So for me, it was like I was really nerding out with the music references. And they even have a prom night in this manga, which again, she does this because she's obviously influenced by American media, which I thought was so cute. And I love this one. I think this one is amazing. The characters themselves, I think, really well written too. I like how the main girls, they aren't super stereotypical. Like, the cool girl is actually kind of a loner at school, and she's kind of awkward and embarrassing and whatever. And the gyaru girl actually is very sweet and very awkward as well. And I feel like they're both just very relatable and fun characters, and I really like them as characters. And I love how both of them have passions that they follow. I love the way that music is such a continuous theme in this manga. As someone who loves music, I just feel like this has to be an S tier ranking. It really took time to grow on me as a manga, because again, I'm not usually a huge fan of slow burn because it annoys me. This one is worth it. This is the manga that is worth going through all of it. It's worth the slow burn. The character designs, the artwork, the visuals, it feels so iconic, and it's honestly got so many iconic references. Love all the music references, love everything about this. I would say that the later chapters are actually better than the first chapters. The first few chapters I love, but then the last few chapters I love even more, which is pretty rare for a manga that actually you prefer the later stuff, which just shows how good it is. So this one, the Green Yuri, we're putting this one at S tier ranking. Do I think it's as good as Tamen Degushi? No, but do I also think that that's just because I'm biased? Yes. So that is why this one is iconic, and it's at S tier. Now we have quite a controversial one, because this one might not really be Yuri. I'm just putting this in here because some people say it's Yuri, some people say it's not. So it's really up to you if you think it is, but I think it is. We're going to put Madoka Magica Matomaji. This is my favorite anime of all time. Themes of love and the themes of, you know, what you do for someone you love are really, really strong. In fact, for Madoka Magica, the anime came before the manga, so actually the story is based off the anime, because it was directed by Urobuchi. He directs like a lot of stuff, a lot of dark stuff. Anyway, this anime, a lot of people do criticize it by saying they feel like it's like, obviously it's written by a guy, and that's totally fair, because they feel like he doesn't really understand the nuances of like sapphic relationships. For me personally, hit the nail on the head perfectly. I think that the topics brought up in all of the relationships in Madoka Magica are painfully relatable. So, for example, if you look at the relationship between Madoka and Homura, you look at how Homura has basically destroyed the world to try and save Madoka. I feel like, and again, it's not necessarily, it's not realistic at all, but there are parts of it that are painfully relatable, such as the fact that no matter what Homura does, she cannot save Madoka. She is destined to fail, and it's almost like this thing of like doing the same thing again and again and again, insanity, and like chasing this person who you know that she loves her, but she can't necessarily like give her the relationship she wants. Like Madoka ends up becoming a goddess and like saving everyone else, and even though that's like the right thing to do, Homura is upset because she's like, that's not what you want, Madoka, that's what you want, to help people, but like heart of hearts, what I think you would want is to like have a normal life, blah blah blah. Whatever, there's like a lot of feelings. And I feel like Homura is such a well-written character. She is the OG Yuri, toxic Yuri, Yuriana, whatever you want to call it. I really feel for her. And actually, my favorite ship in this manga, in this anime, in this series is actually Kyoko and Sayaka. I think the reason why is because it is so painfully relatable when you look at the way that both of these characters end up together. Kyoko has the background of religion, which has impacted her in a negative way. She feels like she can't trust anyone. She has all of these issues with opening up to people. And Sayaka is the optimist. She's the one who blindly believes that everything can be perfect. And that's why, you know, she has this kind of like knight in shining armor type of appeal. And Kyoko steps in to save Sayaka because she realizes the dream that she had through Sayaka. And it's like so beautiful because she's like, I realized the reason why I wanted to protect people because of this girl. She reignited her passion. And one of my favorite scenes from Madoka Magica is actually the scene when Sayaka, again, spoilers, big spoilers, right? One of my favorite scenes is when Sayaka actually ends up ending her life because she doesn't replenish her soul gem and she ends up fighting too much. And it's kind of like a self-ending mission. And Kyoko desperately tries to save her. She knows this girl is not going to survive, but she goes to the effort of like bringing this girl to her room, looking after her body, like taking care of her. Like it's so heartbreaking, but it's so sweet that she would do all of that for someone that she only has known for a few months. Like she really cares about her. And of course the song And I'm Home. Do I even need to say more about that song? It is so perfect. It is one of the best series. So I'm going to put Madoka Magica at S tier. I feel like there's so many great couples. There's so much like love in the series for these characters. And yeah, I feel like even if it isn't necessarily a Yuri itself, it still falls into the category because, again, we don't have that many to go off. And yeah, I think the characters are really relatable, even if it is a fantasy made-up series. It's a really good series. So that was me ranking all of the probably most popular Yuri manga and anime right now. I'm sure that I missed a few, and if I did, let me know in the comments below what manga or anime you want me to cover for Pride Month. I tried my best to cover as many as possible, but I'm sure that there are still some that I haven't watched or I just don't really have much commentary on. But I hope that this was interesting to watch, and let me know in the comments below which one out of all of these series, all of these manga, was your favorite. If I had to choose a favorite from all of these, obviously my favorite anime is Madoka Magica, but my favorite manga is probably Tamen Degushi. So I really love all of these series. I have so much love in my heart for them. And also I just want to note that, again, this is just my opinion. This is not fact. This is literally just what I think about these series. And yeah, it's all just for fun, really. But yeah, let me know what series I should cover next on my channel. For Pride Month, I think my goal is to make videos spreading awareness about why we need Pride and about awareness to topics that are affecting LGBTQ people. So if there's anything that you want me to cover, please do let me know in the comments below. I would be so curious to hear your thoughts. And again, thank you so much for watching.